The gardener was not just raising a prince, he was shaping a future king. And one day, that same king would destroy him. Once there lived a lonely young prince in a powerful kingdom. Prince Adrian had gold, power, and a future already written for him. But inside the palace, he had nothing that felt like love. His father was always busy ruling, except one man, an old gardener, Elias, a man with dirty hands, torn clothes, and no title. Yet every morning, the young prince would follow him into the royal garden, because only in that garden the prince could breathe. Elias never called him "Your Highness," he called him "Child." And that was the only time Adrian felt human. Years passed. The boy became a man. The king died, and Adrian took the throne. At first he ruled wisely, because he still remembered the gardener's voice in his mind. Be patient like a tree. Be kind. Even when you have power, the kingdom flourished. The people loved him. But success has a silent enemy, people who feed your ego. Soon, nobles surrounded him. Advisors whispered in his ears, "You built this kingdom alone. You don't need old traditions. You are above guidance." And slowly, the gardener's voice became smaller and smaller, until it was just a memory inside a loud palace. And Elias, he was still in the garden, waiting, like he always did. But the king no longer came. One evening, something changed. A council meeting was held. A senior advisor spoke carefully. "Your Majesty, why does an old gardener still live in the palace? He contributes nothing. He belongs to your past, not your present." Others nodded, but this time, something felt different. Because this wasn't just about Elias. It was about control. The truth was hidden. Elias had once been a royal advisor. Years ago, he exposed corruption inside the palace. He saved the kingdom, but made powerful enemies, so they removed him from power. And he became a gardener, not to escape the palace, but to stay close enough to protect the boy who would become king, silently, from the shadows. The advisors leaned in again. "As long as he remains here, you will remain a child in your own mind." That sentence landed like a blade. The king froze. A dangerous thought entered his mind. What if the man who raised me is also the reason I am not fully powerful? And that was the lie that broke everything. That night, Elias was cold. No warning, no farewell. The garden he had cared for all his life no longer felt like his. The king stood behind a window, watching, but he did not step out. Elias understood everything without a single word. He did not argue. He did not beg. He simply walked through the garden. One last time, touching the leaves, the soil, the trees he had planted, with a boy who no longer existed. At the gate, he stopped and spoke softly. "You did not remove me because I failed. You removed me because I reminded you who you were." Then he left. And for the first time, the palace felt empty in a dangerous way. Not peaceful, empty. Months passed. The kingdom began to fall apart, not because of enemies, but because of the people who stayed inside it. Corruption spread, justice weakened, trust disappeared, and slowly the king began to see what he had ignored. Every warning Elias once gave was now happening in front of him. One night, he opened the old royal records, and what he found shattered him completely. Elias was not just a gardener. He was the former royal advisor who had once exposed a massive corruption network inside the palace. He had been removed for protecting the kingdom, not for failing it. And instead of leaving, he stayed. He stayed as a gardener, just so he could remain close enough to protect the boy, silently, faithfully. The king's hands trembled, because now he understood the truth. The man he threw away was the only reason the kingdom had ever been stable, not the advisors. Not the nobles, him. That night, the king left the palace alone. No guards, no crown, only regret. He reached a small house outside the city, and there he was, Elias, still in the garden, still silent, still patient. The king fell to his knees. "I thought I became strong without you, but I was only strong because of you." Elias looked at him for a long time. Then he spoke. "A tree never understands its roots until the storm comes. Silence. Then he added softly, "But by then, it is often too late to plant them again." King closed his eyes, because he finally understood the cruel truth. Some people don't leave because they are weak. They leave because you stopped seeing their value. And when they are gone, you don't lose a helper. You lose your foundation. And sometimes, by the time you realize it, foundation is already gone.